Okay, good evening, traders. It is the chart review for the S&P 500 futures 6/13/2019. We didn't really do much today. It is the market is coming up right now. We've just barely gotten over this big volume node right here, and it looks like the after hours people are going to try and push this up. There's this big gap right here in the weekly. There's not a whole lot of volume up here. We didn't really go anywhere today, so that's the weekly. So look at the daily here. This is where we started and this is where we ended up, right? But so we've kind of gone down and dipped. We tested down lower. We kind of tested across the tops here, tested this node right here. We're bouncing. Got a great bounce today up here, and now this is the new candle for the next day, which is the after hours or the next session, which we've already started, and they're starting to push it up. They've got this big old gap right here, and so 2904 looks like a destination for overnight right now. So this was like a bull flag, right? So if I kind of do that little motion, you kind of got this ease. So they bought everything all the way up, right? They broke structure. And then they basically sold it back to the people that wanted to get on this ride. And they just gently sold it back so that it didn't fall. And then this was news overnight where it went down here and tested, and then it blasted off. And now it looks like we're going to get another leg to the upside. So that's what it looks like to me. 240, you can see that I had called this 28.9750 level, which is where we just tested on the current candle. We couldn't quite make it there when the market opened. It was into this node right here. I thought it would go to the top of the node. Didn't even have enough strength to make it there. But after hours in the low volume, it looks like they're gonna push this guy up. So it just basically stayed right here on top of this node. Look at that thing go, boom. 60-minute, you can see we just literally traded all sideways. Volume wasn't anything, even at the open. It was real low, kind of dead today. So what is interesting is look at how they loaded up at the end of the day. So let me pull this out. Get this. So down here, end of day, 26,000 on the delta from basically 4,000, 3,800. Right about here. So from here all the way up, they put on 20,000 contracts. That says to me that they're ready to take off. They loaded up. They're fully loaded, and they're going to push this thing higher and break some structure and sell it to somebody else and make a bunch of money. So this was the news overnight. I think this was the oil tankers. As soon as it became a buying opportunity, they jumped in hard, and you can see that they bought this thing up. And it wasn't till here on the delta that they actually had to put some money in it. It basically got up underneath this volume node right here. See this volume node right here? Got it underneath this volume node. They couldn't push it through. They were pounding against it. Didn't have the volume on the delta down here. And then somebody said, "Hey, we're going over this. We need to break this thing," and they just pushed it over at that point. Then this node became support. They pushed it up over that. This little node became support. They pushed it up over that. Couldn't hold it. Fell back. traded for quite a bit right in this range, pushed it up, same thing all the way through. If you pull back far enough so that you get all this in here, we were basically just trading in this big volume node right here. You can see the shape of it right here. So we were just chopping around in the middle of it, and now they're going to go bust it out the top. So they built enough. This is what it looks like, right? We can probably go find this big old volume node, right? They built this big old cluster, and now they're going to pop it out. Okay, so big delta, and got the volume node right there. Let's see what we can find in the chart, because there's not a whole lot. If you missed, there was chart review, I don't know if it was last night or the previous night, but I went over trend lines and why they don't work. If you happen to watch this video or whatever, that was a pretty good little video course to go over, just to kind of learn about why trend lines don't work. So if we look at this right here, you can see we didn't even get into the heaviest part of the profile right here. We just basically traded up into the bottom of that, and that's why that reversed right there. It ran into the volume right in that node and fell off. What is kind of interesting is, usually when you have this big fall off, it usually goes up much faster than this, but there wasn't like a whole lot of people buying. It's kind of questionable, this thing kind of found support across this bottom right here. So when you look right here, there wasn't really a whole lot of sell pressure either. It stopped here on this side of the node, where I would have expected it to trade down where my line was on top of this bigger volume node. So there wasn't a whole lot of sell pressure either today. So it never even quite made it down here to the line on its sell off. If we drag this across right here, let's take a look and see. You can see that basically it just ran up into the high volume right there and sold off again. So a lot of times when you're profiling or whatever, you need to kind of move your profile back and forth to kind of find the better locations. So you can see as I pull this back a little bit, right, and I start to get a little bit of volume, and I usually like to do from the bottom to the top of the wave. Oop, I didn't mean to grab that. I meant to grab this. You can see right here, you got a little volume node right here, and that's basically where this came to when it sold off. You can see that this was in the volume node too, and it tested this little volume right here and bounced off of it, and then it went back up. If you look at this volume node right here, you can see that it bounced 1, 2, 3, 3 times off of this volume node right here, all the way across. So it was trying to go, but it was just weak. And then this just ties up the big volume node from the previous day. And if we profile this over here, we can take a look and see what we got over here. So this thing came up, and it basically traded right up into this high volume node right here, sold back off, pushed right back up. Couldn't quite make it, but this bar right here is almost as big as that bar right there. Sold off again, right? Come back down. And then basically nothing was stopping this run right here. So you saw the amount of delta that they put on. And then when you're looking at delta, um, usually like if it's above and it moves up, nicely away from the line, when it comes back, that's usually like when a trading opportunity will happen for some reason. I have no idea. And like right here, came back to the line. They try and push it back up, and then when it falls under, and it touches twice, and it doesn't get up above it again, that's usually a little bearish at that point. So if you trade with delta, you'll kind of pick up these things, see how this thing got up above it. It bounced once, bounced twice, couldn't really get underneath it, and then it was basically up at that point. So just a couple things from the delta that I've kind of watched over the years. Symmetry here for the market. So we'd kind of kept all of our lines in place. We had this from last night. It sold off perfectly into a range extension. Was basically trading up, keeping it in the ranges. You can see how beautiful these trades were happening between the ranges right here. Between the ranges, this one traded right up into the range this morning when it took off. Came back down, went a little bit beyond, never quite got to the line. Came back up right into the line again. Sold all the way back down. You can see that even the rejection right here, right, just a small rejection right here off the 100% range extension. Doesn't quite make it all the way, but again, finds support on the line. You can see the range, the rejection right there on the line again. Tries to make it all the way across, doesn't quite make it. Comes back down. You can see the bounce right here, right? Again, bounce, rejection, up across. So symmetry was pretty good. It's continuing to be pretty good, and you can see that we've got quite a bit of levels that they'll have to work through tonight. But I'm pretty sure that they're going to have it through this stuff by morning. Who knows? I could be wrong. A bunch of people could show up and sell the market. Been wrong plenty of times. You just have to keep a neutral stance at all times and just go the direction. Don't fight the market. Don't come up with it has to go up or it has to go down. It's trading between volume, and every time there's a volume node like this 2903, 2904 area, it's going to reject off there, and if enough sellers show up, it's going to go back down to the next node down, and it's going to find some support, and it's going to try and bounce there, and if enough buyers come in, it's going to bounce. It's what I call the 60-40 rule, right? You never know if the trade's going to work. You have a 60% chance that it's going to work if you're trading in the right location, but you don't know for sure. You don't know who's going to show up and trade at that point. Is there going to be more buyers or more sellers when they do it? I mean, that's all we're doing right here, right? We're bouncing between the nodes. There's a node over here, right? This one lines up with the tops of this and this, and you get that bounce, and then it goes up and it tests this node and bounces off. That's all we're doing. We're just bouncing, and it's better off to try and take the trades at the top of pivots and stuff like that. This one, it's kind of sketchy. It's not a real good area. This one, it has opposing tops right here. It's a much better place to bounce from. The bottoms, you got to remember, they exploded off of these bottom areas several times already. So I'm not surprised when it falls through, but whoever got defeated right here, right, it's an opposing point. It's usually a pretty good bouncing area, and especially if it gets down farther into the tips and stuff like that. I think those are just higher quality. Trying to think of anything else that I can tell you. Go watch the trend line video and comment on it. Tell me what you think. If you like the analysis, please sign up, subscribe to the channel, leave some comments, ask some questions if you want to. Sorry that there's not a whole lot of action today. It was just kind of a blah, sideways type of day. Hopefully we'll have something tomorrow. I'll have something in the morning for the prep video, and hopefully we'll get some more trades. So take care and see you in the morning.